around in March, I purchased a vehicle from AutoNation Avondale Papago, and the vehicle, when I first purchased it, it had issues, with the engine because the check engine light was on and all that, so they went through the process of supposedly, trying to correct that, to which they got the check engine light off and everything in the beginning, and come to find out there was a problem with the, head gasket. They were stating that the vehicle needed to have the motor changed. That's what they said in the beginning. But come to find out, they changed their mind about changing the motor to saying that it was they were stating that it had to do with me driving the vehicle, as far as what they had did to it, to which they did not fix the vehicle at all, and right now I just went and picked the vehicle back up because they were threatening to have my vehicle, towed and impounded from their, facility. It was just there. I just went and picked it up on, I think, yesterday or day before. I just went and picked it up, and now he's sitting in my garage, with no repairs or anything had been done to it, and, as I stated also, there's two different purchase dates due to the, the problem that was existing there. And after I went back to get the vehicle, from them supposedly repairing it, I had to do a whole different purchase agreement, which was done in April, and I went through with it. They asked me to bear with them so that they could get the vehicle in, perfect running order for me, and here it is down the line, not even 6 months. I haven't even had the vehicle 6 months. They want to renege on the promise to fix the vehicle and everything, which is why I was back and forth over there. I've been running back and forth with them for the past, since the beginning. And then there was a time period to where I just, I drove the vehicle, with no problems or anything like that. All of a sudden, this issue came back up. And now the coolant, everything is leaking out of the vehicle, all that. I'm having to have a pan up under my vehicle in my garage right now, to catch the fluid that's leaking. They did not do any type of repairs, and as I said before, they stated that they was not, able to do anything else for me as far as the vehicle goes. I have not even had the vehicle a good 6 months. And this is like, I purchased the vehicle for 16 grand, and they are not holding up their end of the bargain as far as, the repairs or anything like that. They done told me that they were done with me in this vehicle. And, I'm at a loss right now, because I have no transportation in no way, shape, or form or nothing like that. Sean is the one that sells the vehicle. He sold the vehicle to me, the one that I did all the paperwork with. He's the manager, something like that, and Cameron, he's the salesperson. He's the one that, took me through all the steps, what I mean? And then Sean is the person that finalized everything, paper signing and all that, what I mean? Odometer and all that stuff, that's Sean's role. And he's the one that made this agreement with me in the beginning of the purchase because there was an engine problem. They wanted to change the engine, but I wasn't going to get the vehicle at first, due to all this. And they asked me to bear with them, as they were also trying to find another vehicle to fit, what I had already purchased. But they couldn't find one, supposedly, so I went on. After they asked me to bear with them to get this vehicle fixed, I said, okay. And that's where me having to do another purchase agreement, that's where that came in at from April. because I originally purchased the vehicle in March. But due to the issues, I wound up going back after they told me it fixed and everything. We had to do a whole nother purchase agreement, all that in April. So that's where that is. Okay, now here it is farther down the line. I'm driving the vehicle and all that, and here it is months later. I go back to them for the same issue. I mean, more than one time, because this year started like around September, about September or so. I was, in contact with them, letting them know, that things weren't right, and, I would be bringing the vehicle, which I did. I took the vehicle back to them. They supposedly had fixed the vehicle from what I was told. Okay, at that time when they supposedly had fixed the vehicle, I was in the hospital. I had to send my son to go and pick the vehicle up for me because I had to stay in the hospital for a few days, during that time period. And after I got out of the hospital, which was on October 5th, I got my vehicle from my son because, he has a vehicle. He just parked it at his house for me. I went, got the vehicle, drove it, when I was able, I drove it and everything, and it was doing the same thing. So that's when I let Cameron know again that the same issues was coming up. That's when I sent him the videos to let him see what was taking place as I'm driving, the vehicle. Okay, now, mind you me, as I done sent them these videos to, inform them of the problems that's taking place, to which they supposed had already stated that was fixed. And now they're going to take those videos that I sent them and try and use those videos against me, stating that I had drove the vehicle, overheating, and that I had cracked, something, cracked the motor or something like that, they said, and this is, like I say again, this was an issue in the beginning with the motor, from there. This is from what they were telling me, okay, and this is where the bear with me part come in and all that there, they're gonna either fix the vehicle or give me another. Okay, so they came up with not having to change the engine to what is that? The gaskets or whatever around the engine area, that needed to be changed. That's all that needed to be changed. That's what they went from exchanging the motor to just changing the head gaskets. That's what that was. Okay, so after they supposedly had did that, I have several different witnesses. I asked them to give me a printout of everything that was done. They supposedly gave me a printout of some gibberish on paper, or whatever not, So I took them at their word. I went, left with the vehicle, we're good. Okay, here it is. As I state again, back down a few months down the line here, this is where, I'm my hospitalization and everything else that I had told you before about my son going to pick up the vehicle and all that. Okay, and I done sent them videos and all that. They want to try to take and use the videos against me, stating that I'm the cause for the problem, which the problem was already there. They never fixed the problem. They just put a Band-Aid on it, and I drove it for a few months. The issue persisted, came back. I did everything that I could do on my end as far as, letting them know about the vehicle. Every time I took the vehicle to them, they would state that they had worked on the vehicle and all that, but it's the same problem over and over and over again. And right now, as I stated, they told me that they would be told from their facility, to impound if I didn't come and get it. So I had to go and get it, because, that's my car, and it's in my name and all that. And I didn't want no extras of anything. Right now, I don't even have employment due to that, because I couldn't get to my job, and right now, I mean, I don't know which way to turn or what to do or anything like that. Like I said, I have a broken car that I haven't had a year, not even a good 6 months from AutoNation that they refused to fix their work that they supposedly had did in the beginning. I would like to either be refunded or fix my vehicle.